I am an accidental activist who lost a child through fentanyl poisoning via Snapchat without realizing the danger of either of those, and have been drawn into the public eye because my wife's a famous person, and we were one of the first famous families to have this happen to us. And that was over 3 years ago, and hundreds of thousands of dead children ago. The United States Drug Enforcement Agency says 50% of the pills sold online contain fentanyl. And that means that anytime some of the kids were experimenting with drugs over the past few years and went online for what they got, there was a very high likelihood that it would be poison.
Sammy sounds like your typical ordinary good kid. He sounds like my kid. He sounds like all of our kids. And so how did this happen?
Well, good kids make bad decisions often, and
Mm.
the algorithms that exist on Snapchat allowed for a drug dealer to network inside his school, his group of friends. They have what they call the quick add feature, and that allows anybody to network with your friends. And they have also a Snap Maps, a geolocator device, and you put those two together, and drug dealers and pimps and I mean, just horrible people know how to connect and where your child is on the planet. I mean, it's even beyond just drug dealers. They're putting extortion schemes together aimed at children, financial frauds, sextortion, and believe it or not, this is particularly happening to young boys,
Mhm.
where they're getting talked into providing some sort of nudie pic to someone they think is a potential partner, and it turns out to be someone who's then going to use that photograph against them to blackmail them, threaten to send it to their teachers, to their schoolmates, their parents, etc. And this sort of thing is happening all over the place. Kids are bullying each other to death. You know, these online exchanges feel very real to children, and bullying is leading to suicide. Algorithms are providing suicide baiting information to children who are depressed, who have indicated online that they have depression and anxiety. Um, a young woman who goes online, a young girl who's searching for a salad dressing recipe is going to be fed eating disorder
Yeah.
content down the road by these algorithms, no pun intended.
It is almost like, and parents have to think about this. It's like taking your children to a park, knowing that there are drug dealers and pedophiles there. You leave them to play, you walk away and hope that nothing bad happens.
That's right. And the interactions that would happen in that park would happen behind closed doors, and the evidence would disappear immediately. The police told us that Snap Inc. does not help the local police, that they wouldn't even call because they've stopped asking because they um, turns out at that time, during that time period at least, we discovered that not only were not they not helping the police, but they were letting the drug dealers know that law enforcement was looking at their profiles. So when they would get an inquiry from law enforcement, they felt an obligation to the user to let them know, and wound up, I mean, they're basically collaborators with the
Yeah.
drug dealers every single day. But we spoke to the head of Snap Inc. after our son died, and we asked them about third-party safety software, and they don't want to let it happen because they sell the data they collect on our children to advertisers so that they can target the advertising better and making it something they can charge more for. So they're reluctant to let that data go to someone else. And we've written that into Sammy's law that you're not allowed to retain the data for more than 2 weeks. It can only be for safety purposes. It cannot be resold. You know, we've thought of all of the problems. You can't out LGBTQ kids with this. You're not allowed to out reproductive choice. This is just about dangerous, illegal things happening online to our children, and letting a parent who wants to tap into a flow that will tell them when something dangerous happens. You have to teach the kids a new culture, right? So when you turn them on to the internet, tell them about dangerous content. Teach them to block and report when something inappropriate comes to them. Make them aware of what's going to be coming at them in as soft a manner as you can. But
Mhm.
bear in mind, they're going to see things that are just out of this world that no child should ever see. And so you have to prepare them. You have to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like this, but
It's their teenage brains. They
yeah.
live in the now. They do not have the ability to discern reality from virtual reality. And all these, kids these days, I mean, and this is what these apps prey off of. They're looking for attention. They're looking for a recognition. They want to feel a sense of belonging.
And you brought up gaming platforms. They're super dangerous because the grooming happens more smoothly on the gaming platforms. Your kid's
Mhm.
been best friends on Call of Duty with somebody whose face they've never seen, and they know them for 2 months before they set the hook, and they're best friends. Snapchat's also especially dangerous because you're dealing in emojis and not actual pictures like it is on Facebook. And so it could be anyone behind that profile. So you want to watch out for those two things in particular. Gaming platforms. At least you can log on and see
Mhm.
who's playing and look over the shoulder a little better than you can on Snapchat. But
For sure.
be sure to do that. Don't think it can't happen to you. Um, and because of the prevalence of fentanyl poisoning, it's really important to get Narcan in your house, especially if you have teens, because you can stall an overdose with Narcan while you call for emergency help.
Mhm.
And it wears off quickly. So you do have to call for emergency help, even if it looks like the child comes back from it. And even if you're sure that your child's not going to be that kid, which it can't
Yeah.
be, if they have friends over to the house, you just never know. There are all
Yeah.
sorts of excuses that kids get a counterfeit drug. They have a toothache that they can't stand anymore, and a friend slips them a pill at lunch. I mean, there are all sorts of uh, shortages now of ADHD medications.
Yep.
Kids are going without, and the cartels are noticing these drug shortages and creating counterfeit drugs and feeding them into the shortages. Uh, they're doing it with cancer medications. In Mexico, even the over the counter medications are impregnated with fentanyl. You can't get ibuprofen while you're on vacation in Mexico safely. You have to bring your own. Um, it's a mess. It's a mess.
Just like you said, many of these children who are dying from fentanyl poisoning are not drug users. They're the kid who took one pill that they believe to be a Percocet or a Xanax pill to help, get them through a tough time. And it's laced with fentanyl and it's one and done. That's it. That's it.
That's right. Valium bars are a very popular one, and they've started coloring the fentanyl pills, especially around Halloween. This is murder. This is
Yeah.
an undeclared war.
What advice can you offer any parents and caregivers, talking to their kids um, about drug access on social media?
Well, the third party safety software is worth putting on your phones. Avoid the iPhone, go with Android, get those username and passwords,
Hmm.
and set a different culture with your family. Uh, there are apps you can download that tell you how much time every family member spends on social media.
Yep.
Post that on the fridge once a week and have a conversation about it. Teach them to block and report any nefarious content that may come.
Hmm.
Stall giving them the phone. our modern society has become so dangerous. I am a cautionary tale. It is miserable to lose a child, and
Mm.
they are coming at us. It's insidious the different ways they are coming at us and our children online. When
Mhm.
you give your kid a phone, it can be lethal.
And it's about having those healthy conversations. Like, it's not that I don't trust you. I don't trust everybody else. And it's my job to keep you safe. But I can't tell you, Sam, how many, parents have reached out to me and said, oh, but I make sure that their accounts are set to private. I make sure that they only add the friends that I know. And I said, you don't understand how it works. It's so quick. The quick ad, the my eyes only in Snap.
And how easy is it to go on one of these internet service providers and create a new email address that they use where they put in a fake age and
Yeah.
create a different account that you don't know about? And like I said before, any 12-year-old can get around any of the fixes. They're digital natives. They understand better than you do. And then the tech companies are there to help fool you. So it's a lose-lose proposition for parents. That's why we need to turn to our lawmakers.
Hmm.
These social media platforms have become the public square, and they need to be regulated the way we regulated television and radio, the way we made sure that there was public duty involved in using those airwaves. And that's the way we ought to start looking at the internet now. And only for children. I understand adults need all their freedom, and that's not the countries that we are.
Yeah.
We provide as much freedom as possible and let people make their own decisions, but not children. Children need boundaries, and they need a healthy environment to grow up in, and we are not creating that online.
I've been working with kids for 20 years. I have four of my own. It's heartbreaking to see how hard childhood is these days. And I think anything we can do as parents, as lawmakers, as teachers to make it easier, it's our due diligence. So in the show notes, I'm going to include any links to Sammy's Law and any of the work that Sam and his family are doing, and also some accounts that you can follow if you want to educate yourself on cyber safety, this toxic tech. It is something you can't stay quiet about, folks. You can't. If you're a parent, if you're a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, an educator, it's our due diligence. So let's start getting loud. Thanks for joining me today. And until next time, we'll see you on the Heart Talk podcast.